I want to talk about a word today that most men don't like to talk about. Most men don't even know they're feeling it. I want to talk about a word that I've tried so hard to ignore, to push away, to distract myself from, to do anything I can but to feel it. That word is loneliness. It's still hard to talk about. I can't talk about it in public. Not unless it's a shared, safe space. I can't talk about it with my friends. I can't talk about it with my family. And I think it's because one of the reasons why I think it's so touchy is that there is a need to fix it, from men especially, but even from women. Like like I have female friends of mine or my mom were like, oh, well, no, you're okay. You're this and you're that. But I don't want to be, I don't need a cheerleader and I don't need a fixer, right? But it's tough because as men, that's how we were conditioned. We were conditioned to fix. We were conditioned to problem solve. We were conditioned to support or take care of, right? It's in our genes. I'm a sensitive guy. I'm not your typical man. I write and read poetry. I consider myself I'm sensitive. I'm a sensitive striver. I'm a highly sensitive person. And I've always been sensitive. So I just thought, oh yeah, I'm a sensitive guy. I'm in touch with my feelings. But there's still that deeply embedded evolutionary shame of vulnerability, an evolutionary shame of vulnerability, of taking off your armor, of standing naked in a field, because we know, because maybe we've been hurt, maybe in the past I think you'll resonate with this. I think what happened was, when we were kids, when we were young boys, we were vulnerable, because kids are. And somebody laughed at us or somebody hurt us because of that. I think it's inevitable that this world, this living, hurts you. And I think it's also too why maybe we are so averse to suffering. We don't want to suffer. We want to live a very comfortable life. And this culture, this society today is very much into comfort. Comfort. I'm lonely sometimes. And you know what? Every time I say that, I think of that movie Fargo. You ever see that movie Fargo? There's a scene where the main character, Frances McDermott, she goes to meet up this guy, I think in Minneapolis, a high school friend of hers or something. And I remember he just breaks down. He's like, oh God, I'm so lonely. And I think about that every now and then, but especially when in my 20s and 30s, I would feel it. I'd feel lonely, and I always think of it, and that would shock me back into like, oh, I'm not that guy. I am not that guy. Because isn't there anything more despicable? Isn't there anything more, cringe and hopeless and just worthless than some middle-aged guy crying in public going, I'm so lonely? But isn't that what we feel sometime? Isn't that what we have felt? Isn't that what we are going to feel? And we run away from it. We distract ourselves from it. One of our main wounds as men, and something that we need to work on, to sit with and develop and help heal, is this wound of disconnection. Disconnection is a huge wound, probably the main wound. Disconnected from ourselves, disconnected from our spouses, our families, our loved ones, our coworkers, our world eventually. When we are disconnected, when we feel like we're failures, we're losers, we're creeps, weirdos, when we're disconnected, we feel so much shame, so much self-loathing. And then we take it upon ourselves to try to fix it. So we work out, get rid of the gut, or we read books to become smarter, or we, but it all comes out in different ways. We since we don't sit with this and work on this, we blow up at our loved ones, and we don't know how to control our anger and our frustration. Why can't we just have control? Why can't we just control everything? Why can't the world just do what I want it to do? And then we're slamming our fists on our horns in traffic, or we rear end some guy, or we feel all this and don't know what to do with it, and then we just go home and knock back 3 beers, or take a gummy, or watch Netflix for 4 hours straight, or doom scroll, or watch YouTube reviews on movies that we also hate, and we find some kind of connection with that, and we're mad. We become madmen. And it's not easy. It's not easy to sit with that loneliness, because that's vulnerability. And I'm a highly sensitive guy, highly sensitive person. I'm a sensitive striver. I'm not your typical, alpha male, but I still feel this evolutionary wounding. The first time I felt it was when in 2018, I moved out of my apartment with my brother and got my place of my own. Now, at that point, throughout the time I was living in the city with him, I had only been away from him for a couple months. We lived together, then we got separate studios, but a few months later, he got a studio in the same same building that I did. And then eventually, 2018, we move out. He moves across the city with his girlfriend, but also our friend Tim, who was from the suburbs. He used to come up to hang out with us. He was in the suburbs. And then my other friend, he was getting married, found himself in the suburbs, and then found himself in a different state. Basically, what happened was all of who I knew moved away. And not only that, but they were also winning the game, right? They were winning the game. They found their partner. They found their family. They found their place. They found their job. They were winning that game, that American dream that every man is still hooked to for some reason. Well, it is not some reason, it's evolution. But that was when in my early 40s, I began my midlife crisis, you can call it. But every crisis has a resolution. A big re-edit, a midlife re-edit, basically. And I felt like a loser. I felt like I was failing. I felt like I was losing the game, right? But I know there are men out there, and let me know in the comments, please, if you've won the game and still feel like crap, right? You have all those things, but you still feel lonely, because loneliness is not just a physical attribute. It can spark loneliness, being lonely by yourself, right? But it's also I would say mostly a psychological. It's psychological. I've been alone in a room full of people. I've been alone among my friends. And I've known to shut up about certain things or to close off myself. And I thought I could be self-reliant. And for all the men out there, let me know who you are, who haven't won the game or played the game of, you don't have a partner, you don't have a married partner or even a boyfriend or girlfriend, you don't have kids or the typical job. You're sort of, being this nomad and living this creative, weird life. That's me. And so for the longest time, I felt like I was a freak. I was losing the game. Grow up. What are you doing? Get yourself this, get yourself that, right? And one of the things that helped me was therapy. Therapy saved my life. I wasn't in danger of taking my life. I've known men that have, unfortunately. It's terrible to be in those silos screaming when no one can hear you. I've been in those dark places though. I've been in those dark places of praying to God, like, just take me. Why am I suffering? Why am I doing this? Why is this happening? What is happening? Why can't I do this? Why can't I straighten up? Why can't I fly right? Why can't I be a man? Why can't I be an adult? All this other stuff. Therapy was really one of the best remedies, because not only was it a place where I can say whatever I wanted, and believe me, I tested her. I would come in one day like, this is it. This is where she fires me, because I am the most despicable person in the world. I think these things. And even then, when I was peeling back layer after layer and getting really to the source of my hurt, my pain, and my trauma, and in hurt, it was still hard for me to say I was lonely. It was still hard for me to admit I'm lonely. And what does that loneliness mean? Does it mean I just need to get a girlfriend? Does it mean I need to find other people around me? Does it mean... I think for me, it was more spiritual loneliness, but it was also finding that true self, finding who I was and being comfortable with who I am. And I needed a space to do that. And it may not be therapy. It could just be a friend or a men's group. I'm in a men's group. It's amazing as well. Some place where you are completely open and can talk about these things. In fact, my men's group is what prompted me to make this video, because I decided one day, like, I don't think this is talked about enough. And so I just went on the post, our chat, and said, like, hey, I think loneliness is a thing that most men struggle with. Do you agree? And I wrote a little post about it. And I had so many men reach out to me, and so many men literally saying, you said what I felt. And these are men in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Men, and it's not all our fault. I want to tell you that right now. If you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling shame and loneliness, and you think that you're completely alone, you're not. You're not alone. I feel you. If anything else, I'm here. And I'm letting you know, like, I felt that before. We get in these loops of like, I'm lonely, I'm nothing, I'm nobody. Let me try to work this out. Let me try to fix it. I can't fix it. Why can't I fix it? I'm lonely. It's because I'm lonely. I have to fix it. If I don't fix it, I'm lonely. And this is what happens. We form these identities with our work and our job and our roles. So what happens when that leaves us? What happens when that breaks away? If we lose a job, if we get divorced, if our friends leave us, if we are losing the game, or if we're winning the game, we still feel like crap. This is the desperation. This is the main wound of who we are. And I'm telling you, it's not all our faults. It is 100% our responsibilities. And I'll get to that in a second, but it's not all our faults. We weren't raised to be vulnerable. Most of us weren't. We spoke up one day about what we liked and someone shot us down. We made a move towards our crush and she shot us down, or he shot us down. We didn't know we had feelings that were opposite of what the room said, whether that be sexual preference or, who we are as a person, or whatever that might be. Whatever disconnection that we started to feel, that we were afraid to feel, was confirmed when we opened up to somebody. And it happens to everybody, men and women. But with men, there's this, see, I told you, don't ever do that again. Don't admit you're lonely, because then you'll be lonely. And nobody likes a lonely man. Nobody likes to lonely anything. And please, people don't want to hear you're lonely. These are triggering phrases. These are triggering. Like my triggering phrase, my trauma phrase is like, what are you doing? And all of a sudden I feel it now. It's like, Jesus, like, what am I doing? You have to have an answer to that. You have to have an answer to that. No, you don't. No. We were raised to not feel big, not have big feelings. And if we did have big feelings, we were to simply push them down into the basement and shut and lock the door. In fact, buy 5 more padlocks and then cover that door up with a blanket, fill that basement with cement, sell the house, burn it down, get away from whatever was down there. That is how we were raised. Push on, keep going, right? Keep going, but in a negative way. In a negative way, keep going. But it's not all our faults, because vulnerability has been a dirty word for us. And we can't be vulnerable. Yes, we can. If you find, it doesn't have to be therapy, but a safe, courageous place, a space of you to talk to a third party, to talk to somebody, anybody, a trusted friend, a confidant, where you can go, I've been feeling lonely actually, or I've been feeling sad or depressed. It's the ignorance, it's the ignoring of these big emotions that hurts us, quite literally. And what I've found through men's groups, through getting out there and coaching, being a coach, but also coaching, being coached. Now I'm looking into like spiritual direction. There's ways of getting out there that you don't have to be completely vulnerable. But what I've learned now that I'm 49, now that I've learned through my trek through this hellscape and bliss station, this cave of wonders that is your midlife, your 40s. And there's joy and there's bliss and there's connection and there's just happiness in your 40s. And in this, within this crisis as well. That's healthy suffering, as James Hollis once put it in his book, Finding Meaning in Your Second Half of Life. Healthy suffering, going through something, challenging yourself, as well as the hurt and the pain and the suffering, right? Finding someone to connect with, finding someone to talk to, talk. And what you realize is there are other men out there. It's completely okay to feel these things and to not fix them and to not problem solve. I hope this helped. I hope this helped. And I want to let you know that I've felt lonely for a long time in my past. I'm not feeling lonely anymore. I've found men who are willing to open up and to be vulnerable in my men's group. I've found a therapist that is willing to work on my things, my challenges. But I found myself, and it sounds so cheesy. I found myself. I feel so cheesy saying it, but it's absolutely true, because sometimes the cheese is the truth. I found myself. And let me tell you, when you find yourself buried underneath all that conditioning, all that shame, all those stories you tell yourself of what a man is supposed to be and what a success is supposed to be and all those expectations, when you really find that diamond in the middle of you that can never be melted away, that can never ever go away, that some people call like your true self or God, or that part of you that's God, or whatever that's bigger than all that you are. It's not that small ego self, it's bigger than who you are. Once you connect with that, once you really start to build, and one of the best things I learned, one of the best things I said, and I really believed, and I continue believing in growing this relationship to my therapist, was I walked in one day and sat down and said, I'm starting to love myself. And I didn't know I didn't love myself, but I didn't. And it wasn't that I didn't love myself, it was that I had all this conditioning, all these stories that were telling me that you're no good and you got to get better, and perfectionism and workaholism and that's no good and make it better. It's like that song Perfect by Alanis Morissette. Listen to that story, because it's everything that's ingrained in us. And it's not our parents' fault, and it's not our society's fault, or the presidents, or whatever you might have. It all comes back to you. And the good news about that is, as soon as you start to work on yourself and your own relationship with yourself, it all clicks outward. Once you start to love yourself and trust yourself, and instinctively you're with yourself, like I got you, you got me. It's like that line from Jerry Maguire, like you get me like I get you. I got you like you got me. That's how you have to be with yourself and all of yourselves. And that's a whole other video, but I'm telling you, I'm sitting here right now, you can do it. You're not alone. And once you do that, once you connect with yourself, it automatically pours outward. You begin to have more compassion and love for yourself. You have more compassion for your partner, for your spouse, for your loved ones, for the world. And yes, there are lots of bad people out there in the world, but you can build the boundaries to go like, I get it, but not for me. No, thank you. And so when I say, keep going, that's what I mean. I think that we've just been, and that's really what the second half is all about. That's really what the second half is all about, Charlie Brown. It's about letting go of so much more than we have to gain. It's about letting go of the limiting beliefs. It's about letting go of the distractions, the go-tos. It's about embracing challenge. It's about embracing healthy suffering that comes from it, because we're going to be suffering. If you sit in therapy, if you sit with yourself, that's huge. And so when I see so many people around me, so many men around me, and I've seen too many drink themselves, numb themselves, lash out, get violent, they're responsible for their actions, because you're 100% responsible. But there's always a part of me that feels very sad about that, because I know that anger is just camouflage sadness. It's camouflage sadness, and how we deal with sadness is just ignoring it or numbing it. And again, it's not all our faults. It's okay to be feeling alone. It's okay to be feeling depressed. I want you to know you're not alone. In building that connection with you starts with you. You're disconnected. Once you build that connection, again, it all begins to click. Once you begin to connect with yourself, then you can go, you know what? I think I want to go to that meeting. You know what? I think I want to try to talk with that person again. I think I want to open up over here. I think I want to start dating again. I think I want to try a new business. I think I want to start a group. I don't know. I think I want to start a hobby. I just want to get out there. Then you begin to reconnect with the world. But it starts with you, and then with your partner, and then it's baby steps. Have compassion, have grace, have so much patience with yourself. Because in a lot of ways, you're not dealing with you right now. You're dealing with your 5-year-old self, your big kid. So sit with your big kid. Little Davey, that's who I am, as much as I am Big Dave. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing me. It's a little bit of a long video, but I needed to say it. I needed to make it. And I know there's so many men out there. Please let me know in the comments that are feeling lonely too, and what we could be doing as a small step towards not feeling that loneliness anymore. Is it getting therapy? Is it calling a confidant? Is it messaging someone that we know? Is it joining an art group? Is it painting? Is it drawing? Is it journaling? Getting it down somehow. You can do this. You're a lot stronger than you think. Take care and be safe.